everybody. Today is Thursday, and it is time for episode 14 of Lowry at Home. I'm your host, naturalist Kirk. We're inside today because it's frankly pretty cold outside. It was only 32 degrees when I went outside there this morning, and I'm sure naturalist Brett would be outside because that guy just loves the cold. In fact, let's just, can we switch to the Brett cam?
Yes! This is so great! Goodbye, heat wave! Hello, cold! I love it!
Yeah, that's about what I figured. Yeah, so he's outside celebrating, but we're going to be inside here this morning, and today is time for a Do Try This at Home from me today, and we're going to be measuring the diameter of the sun. So get ready for that. Let's send things over to me. So what I want to talk to you about today is a subject that is something that I really love, and that's astronomy. If you've been out on some of these past couple nights, the stars have been absolutely gorgeous. Whenever we think about the stars and astronomy, we often think about outer space and things that are really far away, but there's some really close by things that are really cool too. Imagine if you could look through, say, a telescope and you could see a nearby star as not just a pinpoint of light, but actually as something close up. I mean, you might burn your eyeballs out doing it, but if you had the right equipment, you could safely do that. Well, we have a star that is just right up here in the sky that we can see every single day. We also have the moon that's out at night, and with a simple pair of binoculars you can get out and you can see canyons and valleys and long shadows being cast by essentially mountains and hills. I mean, imagine if you could see that kind of detail on the surface of Mars with a pair of binoculars. People would absolutely lose their mind, but because it's the moon and it's there all the time, we kind of forget to look at it. So I have an astronomy activity we can do today, actually during the day. It's going to be a daytime astronomy activity, and you need a couple things though. You need something to write with. You're going to need a small piece of cardboard. This is from a cereal box. You're going to need something to measure with. Now you can use a yardstick. I happen to have a meter stick, and you're going to need something white. In this case, I'm using my little whiteboard with my name on it, but anything white that you can write on is going to work. I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Okay, I've got a little something here that I can lean my whiteboard against, and I've got this facing the sun. You can see the shadow of my hand on there. I'm going to take my piece of cardboard, and you want to make a little hole right in there, and this hole is about the size of, maybe a paperclip or so. And I'm going to hold it in front of my whiteboard. And what you might notice is you can see a white dot there in the middle, and that's not just a little bit of light kind of coming through and making a round hole because this is round. It's because this is actually acting like a lens of a pinhole camera and actually casting an image. That is an image of the surface of the sun on my board. This is actually the same technique that can be used to safely watch a solar eclipse. So that's pretty cool. The neat thing is if I back up, that image will actually get larger and larger and larger. And I'm going to try to zoom in and see if we can actually see that image on there. There it is right in the middle. And you're going, boy, that's pretty tough to see. Well, here's the thing. That is an image that has got a lot of light hitting it from around here. If I could actually bring this in and enclose this, see if I can make it darker in there, the image is actually brighter now. Also, the more I spread it out, the more that sunlight is spreading out, and the image will get fainter and fainter. In a camera, it's dark inside, so there's no stray light coming in and lighting up my background here. Well, it's kind of a cool thing. You know, if I get far enough back, I can actually see some little faint lines. Can you see those lines across the surface of the sun? Those are not actually on the sun, okay? Those are actually tree branches that are up there in the sky. And because this is acting like a lens, where's my hole there? That hole is acting like a lens. It's actually making an image of the sun and those tree branches on the paper. So that's pretty cool. But I want to do something more. And that's why we need our marker. Okay, there's my image. What I'm going to do, I now have my marker, is I'm going to try to trace how wide the sun is. So the sun kind of directly fits between those two lines right there. Okay, let me stop right there. I have to interrupt myself because from this point on in the video, I was trying to hold the cardboard and the marker and the meter stick and keep everything lined up with the sun and keep it in the camera shot, and it looked terrible. It's hard to figure out what I was talking about. Let me just explain it right here, okay? So I drew that those two lines on the whiteboard that showed how wide the sun looked on my whiteboard. And if I measured that with my stick, what I came out with was 5 millimeters. That was the size, the apparent size of the sun on my whiteboard. And what I was trying to do is take this meter stick and measure how far away from the whiteboard was I holding this card with a hole in it, essentially my camera lens and my pinhole camera. How far away was that? And what I came up with was 50 centimeters, or essentially 500 millimeters. So I'm going to write that down here. 500 millimeters. All right, and this basically makes a ratio. So I put that line there, or a fraction. You know, I've got 5 millimeters was the size of the sun when I had that card 500 millimeters away. If I make this number bigger, this number gets bigger too. If I make this number smaller, that number will get smaller. Well, what I want to use this data to figure out is how big is the actual sun? Well, I need to make another fraction that's going to equal this one. So put an equal sign there. Here's my other fraction. And down here, I have to know one of these pieces of data already, and that's the distance to the sun. And the sun is right now 149 million kilometers away. Okay? Pretty cool. So that's how far away the sun is. It's real far away. And I want to know what this is up here. I basically want to solve for x. Now, if you've done some algebra in school, you know how to do this. You cross multiply 149 times 5 divided by 500. But why do we do that? Like, a lot of us know how to solve for x, but let's think about what we're really doing. We're saying that this fraction, and it really is a fraction, equals this fraction. So this number is going to equal this number. So when we divide by 500 at the end, it doesn't matter order of operations when we do it. We can do it right now. We can do 5 divided by 500, and we get 0.01. And so we're saying x divided by 149 equals 0.01. Another way of saying that is 149 times 0.01 equals x. Well, if I multiply 149 by 0.01, it just slides that decimal point over 2 spots, and I get 1.49 million kilometers. Okay? 1.49 million kilometers. You know what? That is my answer for x. That is how big I think the sun is. I think the sun is 1.49 million kilometers in diameter. And when you look it up, it turns out that's pretty close. Here's the actual answer right here. Look how close I got. That's really cool. So just in my backyard, I was able to pretty accurately measure the diameter of the sun using a piece of cardboard and a meter stick. This is something you could try out too. Now, you do have to be really careful with your measurements. The first time I tried this, I came up with 6 millimeters at 500 millimeters. That one little change from 5 to 6 made my answer off by over 400,000 kilometers. That's about 33 widths of the Earth. So I was off by quite a bit when I didn't measure this very carefully. So you got to measure carefully. But I hope you will try this at home, you guys. You don't need to have a metric meter stick. You can use a yardstick that has things in inches as well. And give this a shot. Get it as accurate as an answer as you can. And tell me in the comments if you tried it at home. I want to find out your answer for how big you think the sun is, what the diameter is, and how close you can get to the actual answer. Thanks so much for joining me today for this. Do try this at home, and I'll send things back to me. That's it, everybody. That is episode 14. Thanks so much to Kirk for doing that thing. That's weird for me to thank myself. Tell you what, thank you to you for watching today and coming by here for Lowry at Home. We've got more coming up this week. Tomorrow we have got our questions and answers. If there was any questions submitted this week, I'll have to check and see if there were any of those. And then also, what the heck do we do on Fridays, Banksy? Do you remember? Do you remember? What do we do on Fridays? Again, he never watches the show. Unbelievable. Why do I even have you on? Well, I guess you got to tune in tomorrow and find out what we're going to do, because Banksy here is not going to tell you. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.